Hello everyone, welcome back. So as you see, we are discussing question papers, and in this question paper, we have various sections from which we are going to discuss economic planning firstly. Okay, economic planning related to India. So we will begin with question number 192 directly, which is based on economic planning. So this is consider the following statements, and we have two statements. One is the assertion and the other is the reason. So this is in India, only the central government can take development plans. And the reason is economic and social planning falls under the union list in the 7th schedule of the constitution. So in this context, which of the above statements are correct? A is correct and R is appropriate explanation of A. A is correct, but R is not the appropriate explanation of A. A is incorrect, but R is correct. Both A and R are incorrect. Okay. So this question, that is question number 192, this talks about in India only the central government can make development plans, right? So we are talking about the development plans. See, economic and social planning is a concurrent subject. By concurrent subject, I mean both union and state governments can take or can make developmental plans on it. But the Constitution vests power in the union to ensure coordinated development is essential in the essential fields of activity while preserving the initiative and authority of the states in the spheres allotted to them. So since we are talking of the concurrent list, then we can say that both A and R is correct. That is assertion as well as the reason is correct. Accordingly, our option number D is the correct answer, which is both A and R are incorrect. Right? Okay. Next, moving on to, sorry, I marked it right. It will be wrong. Both A and R are incorrect. Okay. Next, moving to question number 193. Consider the following statements about Indian planning post-planning. Consider the following statements about Indian planning post-independence. And we have three statements. It says it laid more emphasis on heavy industry than the consumer goods. It was inspired from the Soviet model of central planning. France, United States, and China were also the nations which went for centralized planning in the early 1930s and 1940s. Okay, so which of them are true? Only two, 1 and 2, all of the above, or only 1 and 3. See, coming to the question's answer, see, Indian planning was inspired from Soviet planning, right, which commenced shortly after the Bolshevik revolution that had happened. The USA did not have any central planning. Also in India and Soviet Union, more emphasis was laid on heavy industry than the light industry, and consumer goods were treated as a residual category, right? So accordingly, option number 1 is correct and option number 2 is also correct, right? It laid more emphasis on the heavy industry than the consumer goods, and it was inspired from the Soviet model of the central plan. So if 1 and 2 are correct, so our option number B will be the correct answer, right? 1 and 2 both being correct. Okay. Next, moving on to question number 194. 194 says, the trickle-down strategy of poverty reduction lies on international aid, ecological conservation, subsidized public services, or economic growth. Okay, which one will be the correct answer? See, the trickle-down strategy that we are talking about, the trickle-down strategy of poverty. This is based on poverty reduction, and this was the era after independence. That after independence, it was felt that rapid industrial development and transformation of agriculture in particular regions or selected regions would benefit the underdeveloped regions and more of the backward sections of the community, right? So an argument was that promoting economic growth increases total income in the society, creating more jobs and income, which would later on, which could be redistributed in the nation. Right. This was the major focus of planning in the 1950s and 1960s. However, growth failed to trickle down the benefits. Right. The benefits reached only the skilled and the wealthy class of people, and it also widened relative poverty because they were not shared with the backward sections of the society. So as we see, the rich became richer and the poor became poorer. Okay. So this led to the approach of providing subsidized public services and generalizing gainful employment for the poor. Okay. So accordingly, option number D is the correct answer for question number 194, which is option D, economic growth. Okay. So next we will move on to question number 195. This is from the 5-year plans that we have. Okay. So the 5-year plan, questions from that, that's related to 5-year plans, and we have question 195, which says, in post-independent India, the Mahalanobis model of economic growth adopted laid stress on, firstly, focus on consumer goods instead of capital goods, development of agriculture, reliance on heavy industries and import substitution, promoting foreign direct investment. Okay. So see, during the formulation of the second 5-year plan, since we are talking of the 5-year plan, we'll come to the discussion of the second 5-year plan. The Mahalanobis showed that investment in basic heavy industries is very essential to achieve a rapid long-term rate of growth. Right? So the pillars of Nehru Mahalanobis strategies were, firstly, high savings rate. Secondly, focus on heavy industries. Thirdly, protectionist policies and the public sector. Fourthly, import substitution. And fifthly, socialist pattern of the society. So keeping in mind with this Nehru Mahalanobis strategy, we have option number 3 or C as the correct answer. Okay. So we will mark option C, that is reliance on heavy industries and import substitution was the adoption made. Okay. Next, moving on to question 196. Again, we have two statements, that is assertion and reasoning. Consider following statements. Assertion: the term inclusive growth was used as a theme for the first time in the 11th 5-year plan document. And the reason is, no developmental program launched before the 11th 5-year plan focused on poverty alleviation per se. In this context, which of the above are correct? A is correct and R is the appropriate explanation of A. A is correct, but R is not the appropriate explanation of A. A is correct, but R is incorrect. A is incorrect, but R is correct. Okay. So accordingly, let's discuss the answer firstly. The 11th 5-year plan that we're talking about, this emphasized on the idea of rapid and inclusive growth that tells in its volume 1. Okay. Now, after that, that was the 11th 5-year plan. After that was the 12th 5-year plan. Now, the 12th 5-year plan emphasized on the theme of faster, sustainable, and more inclusive growth. The plans before never focused on inclusive growth as a theme or even as a point or an idea, even though there were several programs that were targeted at poverty reduction. It was focused on food, for work, for many other things, but not inclusive growth. So accordingly, our answer is option number C. That is, A is correct, but R is incorrect. Okay, which means the assertion is correct, but our reasoning is wrong. Okay, assertion is correct, but our reasoning goes wrong. So option number C, A is correct, but R is incorrect. Moving on to question number 197. Which of the consider the following statements: governance was considered as a factor of development only from the 10th plan onwards. Fiscal consolidation also became one of the top priorities from the 10th plan onwards. Which of them are true? Only one, only B, both one and two, neither one or two. Okay, that means we have to say which is the correct option. So see accordingly. Fiscal consolidation was a top priority from the 9th plan onwards, which was also the period following the economic reforms of the 5-year plan. Not only governance, but also the growth with equality was considered out of the as one of the very important factors of development from the 10th plan onwards. So going by this answer, our option number one is correct. That is only one is correct. Right? Governance was considered as a factor of development only from the 10th plan onwards. So our option number A is correct. That is only one. Moving on to question number 198. Consider the following statements. Assertion. In none of the 5-year plan periods, the actual growth rate of the economy exceeded the targeted growth rate. And the reason is India had consistently faced infrastructure bottlenecks. In the above context, you have to say which is correct. A is correct and R is the appropriate explanation of A. A is incorrect, but R is not the appropriate explanation of A. A is correct, but R is incorrect. A is incorrect, but R is correct. Okay. So coming to the discussion of this, see, the 6th and the 7th 5-year plans that we had for India, it registered growth more than the targeted growth rate. Okay. So the focus of this 6th 5-year plan was to increase the national income, ensure continuous decrease in poverty and unemployment, modernize the technologies, control population through family planning, and various other methods. So growth rate of 5.66% was achieved as against 5.2, which was higher. The focus now on the 7th 5-year plan was rapid growth in food grain production and increased employment opportunities and productivity within the framework of the basic tenets of plan. So the plan was very successful as a growth rate of 6% was achieved as against the targeted rate of 5%. Okay. Now, coming to the next statement. From the time of independence, India has faced infrastructure deficit always. So even today, India needs more than 4.5 trillion of investment in infrastructure for the next decade. So accordingly, we can say A is incorrect, but R is the correct option. So we go by option number D, which is A is incorrect, but R is correct. Next, moving on to question number 199. Question 199 says, which of the following were the pillars of the Nehru-Mahalanobis strategy of development? High consumption rate to support consumer good industries, policies that promote competition of domestic firms with foreign firms, import substitution, capitalistic pattern of the society. Okay. So we have the codes here, that is 1 and 2, 3 and 3 only, 2 and 4 only, 1, 2 and 3 only. So see, coming to the discussion of this answer in details, the major pillars of the Nehru-Mahalanobis plan were having savings rate. With high savings rate, it would be very, very easy to finance large investments for the heavy industries. Also, we had to focus on heavy industry, protectionist policies and public sector to protect domestic industries from the foreign competition. We required protectionist policies, import substitution, that is to develop indigenous industries and base for capital production. This was done due to harsh colonial experience which destroyed Indian industries. And lastly, the aim was socialist patterns of the society. So accordingly, we have only the option number 3 to be correct. That is option number B is the correct answer. That is only option 3 is correct. Import substitution. Okay. Next, moving on to question number 200. Question 200 says, the model of economic growth adopted in the post-independent India for the first 5-year plan is Bombay Plan, Harrod-Domar Plan model, Mahalanobis model, or none of the above. Okay. So coming to this question, see, the prime target for the first 5-year plan of India was development of agriculture. Okay. So with this plan and motive, it was based on Harod Damodar model. This model was based on the objective to stress the importance of savings and investment as key determinants of growth. Accordingly, our option number B is the correct answer, which is Harrod-Domar model. Next, moving to question 201. Planning in post-independent India had been a major instrument for attaining socio-economic welfare, allocating resources and generating economic growth. In this context, government's top priority in the first 5-year plan of India was heavy industries development, primary sector, technological development, or higher education. So coming to the discussion of this question, see, the first 5-year plan was focused mainly on the development of the primary sector, that's the agricultural sector. It was launched in the year 1951, and the major allocation was given to agriculture and community development, that is 17.4%, irrigation and energy of 27.2%, transport and communication to be of 24%. Okay. So accordingly, our option number B is the correct answer. That is the primary sector. And I have told you about the divisions also. Moving on to question number 202 from NITI Aayog. These are the questions from NITI Aayog. So be very careful about these. You have to be thoroughly well versed in this. So consider the following with reference to NITI Aayog. It hosts the Team India Hub, which leads the engagement of states with the central government. It acts as a repository of research on good governance best practices. It has been nominated as the nodal agency for bringing the Sustainable Development Goals, that is the SDGs, into action across India. Now we have to choose the correct options. 1, 2, and 3. 1 and 2 only. 1, 2, and 3 only. Okay. So coming to the discussion of this answer, see, under the NITI Aayog, there are 2 hubs, that is Team India Hub and the Knowledge and Innovation Hub. Okay. So the Team India Hub acts as a mechanism of cooperation, federalism, while the Knowledge and the Innovation Hub that builds the think tank capability of the IOG. NITI Aayog is developing a state-of-the-art resource center with the necessary resources, knowledges, and skills. It will enable NITI Aayog to act with speed, promote research and innovation, and also provide strategic policy visions of the government. NITI Aayog has been nominated as a nodal agency, okay, to report the SDGs implementation. So accordingly, 1, 2, and 3, all the 3 statements are correct. So accordingly, our option number D is the correct answer. 1, 2, and 3. Next, moving on to the next question, 203. Which of the following is or are not the functions of the recently established NITI Aayog? Giving technical advice to the state governments, supervising the implementation of various social sector schemes, allocating funds for the economic projects approved by the government. 1 and 2, 2 and 3, only 1, or none of the above, which will be the correct option. See, actually, at the core, NITI Aayog is a think tank, and it is, let's say, mandated with tasks which would facilitate cooperative federalism. So as part of its duty, NITI Aayog not only provides technical advice to the state government, but also disseminates the best practices across the nation. Hence, one is definitely correct. Next, coming to the next statement. This merely provides the inputs, but does not get involved in the supervision of the program. So, as it is mainly a policy advisor and a think tank. So then, accordingly, our option number 2 is wrong. Next, coming to the third option. Unlike erstwhile planning commission, NITI Aayog is not involved in the allocation of funds to the state government. So option number 3 also is wrong. So we are left with option number B, that is 2 and 3 only. So 2 is wrong and 3 is wrong. Okay. So correct option is option number B. Moving to question number 204. Which of these is or are the ex officio members of NITI Aayog? Okay. Union Minister of Home Affairs, Union Minister of Finance, Union Minister of Agriculture, Union Cabinet Secretary, Union Secretary, Minister of Finance. Okay, so we have to choose the correct codes. 1, 2, and 3, 2, 4, and 5, 3 and 5, 1, 2, and 4 only. NITI Aayog composition is, let's first discuss the composition of NITI Aayog, then you'll be able to figure out the answer. Chairperson, Prime Minister of India, ex officio members, Vice Chairperson, NITI Aayog, full-time members, NITI Aayog, Chief Ministers of all the states and UTs, Administrator of all the UTs are the members of the government governing council. Ex officio members of NITI Aayog are Ministers of Home Affairs, Minister of Finance, Ministers of Corporate Affairs, Minister of Information and Broadcasting, Minister of Railways, and Minister of Agriculture. Full-time members are Shri Vivek Debroy, Shri V.K. Saraswat, Professor Ramesh Chand, and Shri V.K. Paul. So accordingly, 1, 2, and 3 are the correct ones. Okay, we'll mark 1, 2, and 3 as the correct ones. So, Union Minister of Home Affairs, Union Minister of Finance, and Union Minister of Agriculture. So accordingly, option number A is the correct answer. Okay, so we have discussed up till question number 204, which was the paper of economic planning in India. So I guess all the questions have been clearly discussed and well understood also. So in this context, I will say, since you see you are getting questions from NITI Aayog, so be very thorough with all the schemes and all the policies that are coming up. Also, NITI Aayog is very, very important for your examination. Do keep them in mind. And economics is in this part of India, economic planning relating to India will be quite important for your questions. So do revise them and go through the videos that were made earlier relating to economic growth, economic planning. So that will be quite relevant for your syllabus also. So I hope the questions were well understood and clearly explained. Do refer to the previous videos, and all the best for your career ahead for any questions or any competitive exams that you're preparing. Thank you for patiently hearing me out so long, and all the best for your career. Stay happy, stay safe. Thank you.